Hi friends, Together Run 32. Let's do attempt number 2. I'll talk more about that in case you don't know what I'm referring to. First, I want you to ground in with nature, and I, fortunately, have a giant pile of leaves that the girls have, so I'm just going to step into it. You ready? Listen to this noise. I'm going to put my mic really close. Now I've probably got a nice leaf that's going to itch me the whole way, but it was worth it, right? Make sure you ground in with nature or the ground somehow to begin our run. And just remind yourself that we are connected to nature. Are you ready to begin? In 3, 2, and 1. Off we go. I'm running at a bit of a different time to usual, being that it is 11 something here as I'm recording this. So it's daytime. It's not even, it's barely morning. I'm probably a little bit underdressed, as is the case often with me, but I figure I'll warm up. Okay, so if you happen to miss my message last week, I did just a shout out message on Monday. It was only 8 minutes of just explaining about why there wasn't a Together Run. I also talked about just how I was feeling about skipping one, which I didn't like to do, and also talked a bit about diet culture and how this time of year, as you know, can be so detrimental to our mental health in terms of just the messaging we receive, the way we've been made to feel guilty for eating maybe a little more than we usually would, or that we need to look a certain way, or there might be remarks from, family members or whatever. So if you haven't listened to that, I'd encourage you to go back. Maybe not right now, but at some point. And today, this is the 32nd one of these. So if it's your first one, welcome. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you think if it is your first attempt at this. And hopefully you'll go back and listen to all the other ones too. This is my first recorded Together Run in 2, coming on 3 weeks. So maybe a bit out of practice. But those of you who have done more than one of these, we always begin with the same thing. I'll check in with nature, and then we go into our body scan. So we're going to flip it today, and we're going to begin from our feet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out parts of the body as we move from the tips of our toes up to the top of our head, and I'm going to call out those areas. But if something else I don't mention jumps out to you, by all means pay attention to that. And we're just going to check in with our body, see how things are feeling, try and loosen up any tight areas where we're holding tension, and just wake ourselves up. Okay, so you ready? Starting from the tips of your toes, working down through the toes into the ball of your foot, in the arch on the top of the foot, going into the heel, and then up into the ankles, inside and outside, going into your shin bone, your calf and soleus, rounding up into the back of the knee, round to the front of the knee, into your quads and hamstrings, working up into the hips and pelvis, going up into your stomach and your lower back. As you work up into your chest And then we're going to go down. Well, let's go up the arms, starting at the tip of your fingers, going down through the base of your fingers, into your hands, your wrists, going up into the elbow, up to the shoulder, up through, around the back, and up once more into your neck, the back of your neck, around to the front, going into your chin, going into the face, your nose and eyes, going into your forehead and to the top of your head. Let's just take a moment. How's your body feel? Thank you for doing that check-in with yourself. And next, I'm going to ask you, how are you? If we were together right now, what would you tell me? Or maybe if you wouldn't feel comfortable telling me, just think about it. How are you? You don't have to share it with anyone. Just how are you feeling? What would you say? I'm just going to give you a moment to think about that. Okay, what would I tell you if you asked me how am I? How are you? I think I sound good. Feel good being out in the sunshine. Feels good being outside. Feel way better today than I did the last time I ran. So, makes me feel energized, not deflated. And I'm excited to be doing this again with you. I missed it, and I really enjoy it. Love the idea that we run together, and when you share your photos and I can see your face or see where you're running, I really get to envision what it feels like. So I can imagine what it would be like running with you. So keep those coming. Okay, gonna start a senses check-in in a minute. The only downside of me running this time of day, unbelievably, as you may be able to hear, there's still a lawnmowers going. So, yeah, I'm trying to dodge the lawnmowers as they come and the leaf blowers. I'm sure it's not as loud for you as it is for me, but still, apologise if it is loud. Okay, so on that note, let's check in with our senses. Let's go take a nice deep breath. Let's do another one. What do you smell? Take a sniff. What is it that comes to your nose? If it's more than one thing, amazing. I love that you must be a super sniffer or whatever the term is. What do you taste? Thankfully, when I had COVID, I didn't end up as one of those people who didn't have, I had my taste buds go. Thankfully, I'm okay with that, but what do you taste? Okay, next, if you have headphones in and it's safe to do so, when I tell you, you're going to remove your headphones and you're going to listen to what is around you. Try and listen for those quiet noises that you probably wouldn't notice had I not told you to pay attention. Even if you run the same loop every single day, there are things sound-wise and especially sight-wise that we'll be able to change and feel, touch. So let's just take your headphones out now and tell me, have a listen. What do you hear for about 30 seconds or so? If you're back in, what do you hear in my surroundings? Anything that's the same as you or different to you? We'll just give a few more seconds. Okay, thank you for doing that. Next, we're going to check in with our sense of touch or feel. I keep meaning to look up the word for that, what the official term is. But I want you to just be in your body for 30 seconds or so and notice, what do you feel? Let's just do that right now. Keep looking, or don't look. Keep feeling. What is it that is catching your attention? Okay, thank you. For me, I noticed the cooler air on my forearm, my upper arms. I noticed the phone in my hand. I noticed my watch moving around. I noticed my hair touching the back of my neck. It's the first time I've worn long sleeves in a while, so it feels different to what I have been experiencing. Okay, and finally, we are gonna go to our sense of sight. Now, as always, I want you to find some small details. Look for something new. Something that you've never seen, never paid attention to, never looked at enough. Doesn't matter what it is, how big or how small. Just something detailed that you haven't paid attention to before. Okay, and you can look to the left, look up, and look down. What do you see? Moving to a diagonal, look up and look down. I can see a tree that's had some of its limbs cut off, which gives me hope that maybe that big beautiful tree is going to stay there rather than being cut down. Go to the middle, pick something in the horizon, see if you can figure out what it is. Or if you know what it is, hone in on some details and see if now we go to the right diagonal and up and down. When we come back to that middle spot, see if you were right, or what things did you see and didn't see. But looking at that diagonal right now. Okay, and now to the right, up, down. Still trying to pick out specific things. Okay, and back to the center. Are you close enough to the thing in the distance to figure out what it is yet? Just give a few more seconds as you close in on it. They're not honking at me, or beeping as we say in England. I need to get back to my English words, or my friends are going to laugh at me. And laugh, not laugh. Okay. Thank you for doing your census check-in. Thank you for doing your body scan. We've connected with nature. And now we can relax into the run a bit more with our conversation and wherever it goes, peace. So the first thing I think I'd like to know from you, if we haven't run in 2 weeks because we had a break, what would you tell me? What updates do you have for me in the last few weeks? If you're a first time together runner, what would you tell me about yourself? If I would love to know more about you. I have a great question from David about that in a minute. But first, what updates do you have for me? See, in my head, these streets are like desolate during the middle of the day, like no cars. But I feel like there's way more than I expected. Alright, if you finish with your updates, give me a few more things. Dig a bit deeper. Remember, you're not actually telling me, so you could pretend and be brave to tell me something really scary, because I'm not going to hear it. Unless you choose to message it to me separately. What else would you tell me? If it helps, we can rephrase the question, how are things? How are things with you? Few more seconds. Okay, if I were to update you, if you were going to say how are things, what would I say? I would say things are, good, mostly. I'd say there's definitely, when we first got confirmed with COVID, I very much was obviously frustrated about the race, but also, as I said I don't know if I said it publicly, but I said it to many people, I felt relieved, because it meant for a few precious months maybe that wasn't looming over my head, especially thinking about going home to England. And I have an aunt who's immunocompromised, went through chemo last year, and her immune system definitely hasn't bounced back yet. She's very dear to me, one of my favourite people in the world, and I was nervous about that. So I felt relieved that I wouldn't have to worry about that anymore. But now, and I also felt relieved because it felt like not a sure thing that I'd be going home, but it was looking good. And now the UK has changed their rules. You just have to get a PCR, which is fine, and isolate until you get the results, fine, whatever. There is the fear in me that you can technically still test positive a month later. So what if we were one of those people? But if I got stuck at home for 10 days, not the end of the world. However, I've still got, as of recording this, 10 days to go. So things can change. Things can definitely change. And I do feel that, like, just, I guess, bracing for, like, what if that trip is ripped away from me, a few days to go. It's one thing, my race, and visiting Steve's family. We've seen his parents recently, and we've seen his sister somewhat recently, but I haven't seen my family in 2.5 years. That is different to this. So I do feel a little bit like I'm, bracing, holding my breath, just really wanting. I don't mind if we, have to stay in for 2 days, whatever. But I just want to give my mum and dad a hug. I just want to give my sister and my aunts a hug. I want to hold my nephew in my arms and watch Bailey and my niece playing together and just touch her sweet little face. So that's very much what's on my mind. Beyond that, the book is mostly going well. I found good chunks of time to work on it while I was inside, which was helpful. It's still pretty, I don't say demoralizing process, but it's hard. So there's that. What else do I have to update on? My running, I'm trying to think about what I want to do for next year. I have said to Kyle I'll be his guide at Boston, so that's one thing, as we didn't get to do it this year. And I have a potential crewing pacing opportunity for someone, and I'm going to see if anyone can guess who it is. It would be an incredible opportunity and a way for me to give back. So, see if you can figure it out. I bet someone will. So trying to figure that out. I don't really feel like racing for myself is jumping out at me specifically for a race, but I do want to race. I think I might jump in quite a lot of local races, or anytime I go on a trip, I think I might jump in races where I am. Just why not? So there's that. And I'd say Nox, John and I are in talks about figuring out Running Realised, how we're going to go about season 2. So that's exciting. It's way more than you talked or thought, but you know that with me, that's how it usually works. So those are my updates. Right, so 30-minute group. You have about 6 minutes, 5.5, till you'll come to a walk. We'll all do some strides together, 2 strides. The 30-minute group, you'll have a walk in between, and the rest of us will keep running. And yeah, and then we'll carry on. You're welcome to stay. Why don't we stop and take a picture? You're right by this leaf blower noise. So stop right now. I don't care what you see. I don't care how exciting it is. Oh, I definitely need to pee. So I might not be stopping too long. Take a picture right now. What do you... Show me you. What I really care about is you. If you put it on social media, that's amazing. But if you put it just on if you send it to me, that's fine too. Right, you taking one? If you haven't stopped yet, take one while running. Thank you. All right, let's go again. 3, 2, and 1. Oh, exactly 5k for me. I shouldn't say that. That's going to make some people feel bad. Please don't feel bad of me casually jogging around. Remember, running is relative. Remember, we all have our different set points, and mine has 14 years of hard training plus a few more of somewhat hard training in there. So please don't judge yourself off that. Okay. I'm going to save David's question, I think, for after the 30, but not too much after the 30. So if you are in a 30-minute group, you'll easily be able to just walk along and join in. So for now, what can we talk about? Well, it's coming to the end of the year, and we're all thinking, as I just said, about running goals, things we're doing, things that we want to think about in 2022. And I'm definitely thinking about ways to maximize my time at home, doing things around here that are meaningful. I'm honestly thinking about reaching out to the local, I don't know what it would even be, it's not government, where I live, not St. Louis, but the even smaller area I live in, reaching out to them to see if I can do something about the throwing away situation in this area. As I've talked about on a few Together runs, as I ran past the sign that says Fight Socialism, as I talked about on a few runs, I really struggle with what people throw in the trash here. I've seen one couch already today, see all kinds of stuff in the wrong bins, and rather than me just kind of driving myself nuts thinking about it, what if I could join the city somehow and work with them somehow to create a flyer where I could deliver it, put it at people's houses or something, make a sticker, even if I have to fund the cost of it myself. Like, is there a way I can be the change in my local area? Because at the end of the day, I have to live here, and I do like where I live, but if there's parts that I'm not as big of, I have to try, I have to try and think of some way to educate people on the fact that they can't put plastic bags in the recycling, or that those bubble wrap things don't go in recycling, or that a couch that to you might look like it's just junky and gross, or a microwave that you think is old, someone else might need. And so there's other ways to do it. So I think that's one of my goals for 2022, is to find a way to be involved locally to change that. So then, hopefully, I won't be complaining to you while I'm running. Okay. All right, so we've got about a minute left. Let's just take this minute and be quiet. Just be in our bodies. I've talked a lot. Let's just be quiet. It's hard, isn't it? Keep going. Keep those thoughts on running. Okay, come to a walk. For those of you in the 30-minute group, if you're in 45 or 60, you can keep going. And we'll give them just another 30 seconds to recover. And then we're going to do 2 strides. Now, as always, a stride does not mean what it sounds like it means, taking big steps. It means little steps. And you're just going to try and run faster about 80% of your max. That's all, for about 10 to 15 seconds, no more. Okay, are we ready? In 3, 2, and 1. Oh, I forgot I was doing it with you. Okay. Come to a jog or walk. Give a few more seconds. Well, probably another 20 seconds. And we'll do another one. And then 30-minute group. You are free to get on with your day. You're free to stay and listen to our conversation. I would love if you could support us on Patreon or find a way to share it. That'd be amazing. Or you can leave a review on iTunes. That's another way to help. I'm going to grab this newspaper. I feel like I spend my day chasing these newspapers around, putting them on people's driveways, or they never pick them up. That newspaper's been there for 5 days, by the way. I'm not picking up someone's new newspaper. All right, let's do one more stride. In 3, 2, and 1. Okay, and coming to a jog or a walk. 30-minute group. Thanks so much for joining. Feel free to stay for this next conversation piece, or you can get on with your day. I appreciate you. Okay, 32 minutes and about 40 seconds. So David recently sent me a message about when I found out I wasn't getting to do the 50k and I had to stay home, saying about, you know, the kind words of support, love and empathy about not going. But then he suggested as a topic, which isn't something I've talked about, what it feels like where you know so much about me and I know varying levels depending on how much you've communicated with me, but really very little about you. And how does that affect me? How does that feel? So I thought maybe I'd talk about that for a little bit today. First I want to tell you a bit of a story, and then I'll go on to explain a bit more. And this story, I may have shared it somewhere, so I apologise if you've heard it before, but I can't remember who I've said what to, because beyond even just me talking a lot to you on here, as you can probably guess, I'm quite an open person with people I care about as well. So not that I don't care about you, but you know what I mean, like closest friends and family. So often I can't remember who I've told what to about me, because I just share a lot of levels of it. But first, I'll give you a good example. So when I moved to St. Louis, or when I knew I was moving to St. Louis, I said on social media that I was moving, and I got maybe 20 replies to an email newsletter. And if you aren't subscribed yet, do it. Make it the first thing you do when you finish this run. runningforreal.com. Anywhere you can find the link. Okay, so I got about 20 replies saying, I live in St. Louis, if there's anything you need, come help, I'm happy to help. Including a woman who was an OB. Now, I think even before we left we knew we were trying, but I might have even been pregnant. I think I was. And so when she emailed me, I was like, well, ding, ding, ding. And so we'd emailed back and forth over the years, but I didn't know she was an OB. And lo and behold, Diane Rosen ended up being the person that brought Chloe into the world. And so that was amazing, knowing that I didn't have to, obviously did look up her reviews, but I didn't have to look too hard and try and figure out that on my own, because she'd offered herself to me, and I'd got to know her a little bit. So that was amazing. And then I came here. There was a few, I think I did a meetup pretty soon, within a week, I think, of arriving here, saying, hey, I'm going to be in this Forest Park Cafe. If you want to come, I'd love to meet you. To anyone who responded and said they lived in St. Louis, I offered them that opportunity. And so, where am I? Got a bit lost for a second. Yeah, I'm going to go back this way. And so, only I can get lost in the light, because I'm used to doing this in the dark. So, did this meetup, got to talk to some of the women, exchanged numbers with a few of them, and kind of said to everyone else that I'd be doing more meetups. This was obviously not long before the pandemic, so that didn't end up happening. But some of the women were like, if I can do anything. And so I wanted to have people to run with, and some of them live nearby. So I met up with a few of them, and then I got to know them. And within, a few meetings, they were meeting my kids. And it was just a great way to connect with someone. But I one day asked one of them, Steph, how she so easily let me into her training group and her friends and her life. Because, I can't imagine, most places you go, people are very cliquey when they've been there a long time. They don't really, it can be hard to make friends, right? And so how come I was immediately shown everything and had basically a built-in group of friends? And she said that because of my podcast, because of how open and honest I am in the public, she felt like they'd already vetted me. They already knew I was safe. They already knew things about me, so it felt like already like a friendship. Even though to me I was a new person, they were new people to me, but they knew me. So I share that because while there may be some downsides, which I'll say in a minute, I think that is a massive upside that I was gifted just by being myself and having this platform. Because making new friends, as we know, is freaking hard and it's so intimidating. And this gave me a way of not having to worry about that at a time when I was pregnant and in a new city. So, yeah, that's great. And I will say one downside of that, though, is that because I had these friends, and I've got multiple groups of friends who knew of me because of my social media presence, I don't seek out new people that much, which I would say is probably quite a negative, because when I'm at things with Chloe or when I'm at Bailey's school, I don't really have the desire to connect with new people, which I should. And so that's one thing I would say is a downside. However, to actually answer your question, David, that I think, you know, when I do these together runs and I ask you to send me your photo or to share it on social media, that for me is a way for me to feel connected to you. Because as many of you have told me, you do feel connected to me because you know me. And I'm talking to you right now, literally as if you were right next to me. But I don't get the feedback, so I don't get to know you unless you share pieces of your life with me or if you respond back. So that's why one of the reasons I really love to get your responses and to get your photos, and especially when you share them on social, that tells me that you are not only enjoying my friendship, as weird and disjointed as it is, but also you are sharing a little piece of your life with me so I can feel like I get to know you. I would say I don't think about it too much in terms of, there obviously are some elements of me that I keep to myself, but I'm really not, I think about this often, I'm really not aware of what those pieces are, and I really don't think you get any different of an experience with me to my close friends. I think they would say that what you get to hear through this is exactly how I am. Okay, maybe I'll admit, you know, there might be a little more, I might complain about someone occasionally. My family would definitely argue there's some different sides of me in the negative parts of me that you don't get to see, and my friends don't get to see. But I feel, for me, I feel so right when I share just like this and talk to everyone the same than trying to be different people to different people, if that makes sense. So it doesn't bother me. I just, sometimes I feel bad when I might get a message from someone, like a really sweet, kind message and sharing about your life, and I don't get to respond for a while. And I just wish that interaction was face to face, so I could like be there for you and see your face and just get to know you as a human, because it's a lot harder when it's all just black and white writing to remember who is who, especially without the face. And that's the thing with the emails. I like emails, but I don't really get to put you together. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to say on this topic. Oh, we've only got about a minute, just over a minute left until we're gonna do 2 more strides. A 45-minute group you can walk when we get to that point. But yeah, I wish I got to know you more, and that's why I love events where, especially the ones where it's like 30 people, where I can get like a solid 5 to 10 minutes with a person. That means I can maybe not get to know you, but like I can bank your name in my mind and bank a few small details about you. So our friendship does feel a little more reciprocal. But I'd love to hear how you feel about that. Like, I get it because I know what it feels like Brene Brown. Sometimes I feel, by the way, when we get to 45 minutes, just walk when you get to that, if you're 45. With Brene, I feel like if I could only talk to you, you would realise that we're meant to be best friends and you're meant to really like me and want to be with me and hang out. But I know there are literally millions of people who feel that way about her. So, I know how it feels to be on that end of things, but I think it's a bit different with me. I don't have as massive as a platform as these celebrities, but also, I don't know. I guess I like to do things that bring you in closer to me, like small groups, whereas they at that level like to do big, like, you know, giant crowds, like, "Way!" things, whereas I'd rather have the smaller 15 to 30 person group. So yeah. Okay. All right, 45, you should be walking. We'll take a few more seconds and then we will do a stride. We'll take another 30 seconds and we'll do another one. Okay, you ready? In 3, 2, and 1. Off you go. Okay, and come to a walk or a jog. We'll do another one, just a minute. And then, if you want to zip out, you can. Or if you want to hang with us, you can. Totally up to you. Okay, ready? Another stride. In 3, 2, and 1. Okay, and come to a jog or a walk. Ooh, that's the first time I've done strides since the last one of these I recorded. And yeah, definitely feel the difference. Okay, 45-minute group. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now more than ever, maybe you should consider sending me a picture. If you didn't take one earlier, take one now. And tell me a little about yourself. I'd love to know. Okay, I think I'll continue that conversation in a little bit. I just want us let's do a body scan for a minute, another one. So I want you to do it in your own time. And you can go from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top. It's up to you, but let's do that now. Okay. Thank you for doing that body scan. Then I want to ask you again, how are you feeling? Mentally, spiritually, emotionally? Any different to the beginning to now? How are you feeling? Okay, thank you for taking that time to check back in with yourself and how you're doing. Okay, so going back to what I was saying, what was I going to add to that point? I guess it's kind of an apology. I know I don't need to apologise, but sometimes when I mention about emails, but it also happens with direct messages, it can be a bit overwhelming at times when people send me a big long message about something they're working through social media or email, to be honest. Because as much as I want to reply in that instant, I'm juggling a lot of plates myself, and so it might take me a few days, or to be honest, if it's not something urgent, and maybe even a few weeks. And I do have a layer of guilt about that, especially because I just told you to share some things about you, and then I've just in the next breath told you that sometimes I find it hard to reply. So why would you do that if I'm not going to reply? And I will reply, but you know what I mean, like there's that guilt part of me that feels like you're telling them that they're important, but then when they open up to you, it's not important enough to reply. And that's not obviously the case, but I don't know. That's again why I wish it was those human interactions, like face to face, because then I can be fully present there in the moment. Whereas currently I set times aside to respond to things rather than it being as it happens. And if it was in person, like I wouldn't, or anyone wouldn't, get someone say like, I'm really struggling with this, and be like, oh, thank you, move along. You know, like, I'll talk to you another time. I'll send you a card in the mail, you know? So I guess that's the up and the down of our society now, is that the good is you can reach out to anyone within reason and have somewhat of a chance of them responding. But because of the access to everyone and anyone, you also might have to wait for it because they're overwhelmed. So I think about that a lot. And so I'd say that's a downside, that it makes me feel a bit like a shitty human being. Like I'm not, I don't know, respecting or valuing people enough. And I know that people understand. I know that you, many of you have said, like, you don't have to reply, or like, take your time, or I know you're busy. But it still makes me feel like I'm just, I don't know, like as a human. And I should do everything in my power to help support that human on the other side of the computer, phone, whatever. So yeah, that's my only other thought, I think, on the topic. David, does that satisfy your topic suggestion? If you have a topic suggestion, and now I'm switching into that like TV ad voice, right? But you know what I mean. If you have anything that I could talk about on one of these, I'm all ears, as you hear. I generally just kind of see what comes up, and sometimes it kind of goes nowhere, maybe even today. But having a topic or something you'd like to know about is really helpful. I know a lot of other people do like ask me anything or ask but this is a way I could do that while we get to enjoy a run together. So if you have anything in mind, feel free to reach out. I'd love to hear it. Okay, so we've got about just over 5 minutes left. We're going to do our strides as we usually do, 60-minute group, before we hit the 60. So we'll probably do those in about 3 minutes. And I'm running up a hill. So I think the man I was running past just laughed, like he thought I was talking to him. I'm running up a hill. And it's still don't feel 100%. I was planning on doing this together run and then going out for another half an hour. I don't know if that's a good idea. Like, I want to get back into some longer runs. Not that 60 minutes isn't a long run, but it's less than I want to do. But I can't seem to get there. It seems to just be in following one garbage truck after the next. This one's going to be with me all the way now. There's no other way. Okay, pulled ahead of him, so maybe we'll get away. Okay, so what else do I have to say? Well, when you hear this, it'll be December, which is strange to think. December 2021 already. And in some coming together runs, we'll start thinking about reflecting on our year. So if there's any questions, reflection-wise, for the year that you would like to ask me and ask the group of people doing this, then feel free to send those over. I always love having prompts. And we can start thinking about reflecting on our year. And then in another one, we can think about going into the next year and what we hope for ourselves. I had planned on talking a bit about just emphasizing my message on staying away from diet culture during this holiday season. But we're kind of running out of time now. And so I just want you to go back and listen to that message I did last week. It's only 8 minutes long. And by the time you hear that, I talk about supporting our sponsors of Running for Real that help keep the lights on. You can still do that any time you sign up for those products or services, which I 100% recommend. You know I'm picky. I turn down a lot of brands. But they help us at Running for Real. So if you want to go support them, you can. But the main chunk of the message is about the other two things. About kind of that urge to complete things that I felt when I didn't release one on that last Monday, but also the pressure we feel this time of year. Okay, let's do one more stride. You ready? In 3, 2, and 1. Okay, I'm coming to a jog. We'll do one more in just a minute. Okay, ready? In 3, 2, and 1. Okay, and then coming to a jog. Oh yeah, I don't think I'm going to force it. Definitely legs are not quite right yet. It's probably not my legs. It's probably more my breathing. All right, we've got about 30 seconds. Let's just jog it in nice and easy. And then we'll connect in with nature to finish off our run together. Okay, and that's a wrap. Right, friends, connect back in with nature. I don't have the energy to jump in that pile, but I'm going to kick them instead. It's just a reminder, at the end of the day, nature's always here to love, support, and ground us. I'd love to see your photos. I'd love to hear from you. I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day, my friends. Hi friends, just a quick message to say a big thank you to the Running for Real team. While I may be the face of Running for Real and the voice behind the podcast, there are a group of people who are working tirelessly to provide everything that runners could need within our community, to make our community stronger, better, and evolve and grow and learn from one another. We are working really hard to make Running for Real the place we believe it can be within our community. I just want to take a moment to thank everyone on our team. That is Victoria, Stacey, Sandy, Sally, Maria, Kelsey, Kat, Jeremy, and Erica. I appreciate each and every one of you and the hard work that you put in. Now let's get back to the show.